All right. We're back for first weekend Dynasty Fantasy Football recap. I'm joined as always by Shani
What's up, everybody?
and Bankhead.
What they do, baby?
And we thought we'd do a couple different little segments tonight, trying to just change it up. Still take a look around the leagues. Focusing tonight on hype or not, or overreaction or something not. I messed up the title. We'll work on that. Anyways, my first player that I'm bringing up is Zeke. Um, I bring this up mainly because I made a deal in the offseason with Shawnee where we just traded straight up Zeke for Antonio Gibson. Um, I just feel Pollard looks so much faster. They're going into more of a passing attack offense, and I don't like the play calling. I think McCarthy used him. They ran him into the ground, but they ran him into the ground. And I mean, look at the attempts. I don't see it going well. Last year I saw him not enjoy football as much. So I think I got off at the right moment. So I think it's not an overreaction to say that Zeke's best days are behind him. He's going to finish maybe as an RB2 this year and just can gradually keep going down. What do you think, Shani?
So for me, I made that trade because obviously the volume, the snap percentage, the better offense, everything just aligned for Zeke. And when I really look at it, I think it's just an overreaction because everybody has seen what Tampa Bay does to running backs. We can go back to the Christian McCaffrey peak year. The first game against the Buccaneers, he had 6 points in that season. And like the Bucks are just known, they just always shut down the running back. It's hard to run against them. The Zach Martin was out. The right tackle got hurt. I'm not making excuses. It's just a couple bad breaks. Zeke could have should have scored on the goal line about 2 times in that game. So then we having a whole different conversation. But once again, from what I've seen, he's always on the field. He was just used in that game for basically as an extra pass blocker. And Tony Pollard looked okay for sure. But I think going forward, just playing in the offense, he should have 10 touchdowns minimum. And then, the game script, they're going to be up in a lot of different games. So I think he'll get the work.
All right, Bankhead, where you stand on Zeke?
Yeah, and personally, I'm kind of like in between, right? So I feel like Zeke is still a RB1 talent, but I do feel like that offense is going to basically relegate him to RB2 status most of the year. He's going to have those games where when they're up, when they're playing bad teams and they need to pound the rock, he's going to get you, the 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, maybe, on the goal line touchdowns or whatnot. But I think too many times and not this year because Dallas still isn't that good of a team. Their defense is still terrible. You can still throw on them whenever. You can still run the ball whenever. That they're going to be in too many tight games, and you see the mindset of Dallas, right? I mean, they want to throw the ball, and I get it. Against Tampa, against that front, Sue and Vita Vea are monsters, and Vita Vea really dominated that game from start to finish. So they didn't give Dallas a chance to run the ball with Martin being out. Vita Vea just destroyed the line. But my issue was they didn't even try. You know what I mean? That like they didn't try at all, and I can see 7, 8, 9 games of Dallas this year running that same script of not even caring and just we're gonna throw it 50 times and just try to beat you.
All right. All right, let's get our second name here. Who are we looking at, Shani?
Brandon, are you?
Mr. Not good enough to beat those in front of him.
Trent Sherfield.
Yeah, so really, like when I look at this situation, all through the week, even like right before the first game, he popped up on the injury report with a hamstring. So hamstrings are tricky. If you don't heal properly, it can linger all year. So I was already cautious about it. But when I seen week one, like you could see in the game, he's like running like fast speed as a decoy, and I hear the coach speak, but it would just be shocking to me if he really just fell off the face of the earth, especially in this offense. Because when you look at it, okay, Sherfield, yeah, he's cool, but they have basically Kittle, Debo, great players. But this team, they're definitely trying to win it all. They're not trying to rebuild and do all these type of things. Like he proved last year who he was. He basically was a top rookie receiver, points per game wise, and that's with nobody at quarterback. So it'll be just shocking to me if he forgot how to play and he just fell out of the place with the coach. I think it was just due to the injury and because at halftime they was up by like 30 points. The game got close at the end and just like I said, the Niners defense isn't that great, but that's beside the point. Basically, it was a blowout. He was already hurt. I think they're just saving him to get him healthy for this week coming up.
Where are you at on this, Bank?
Yeah, and I'm kind of torn because I kind of feel bad for Brandon Ayuk, right? Because I mean, there's no way you go from the talent you showed us last year to all of a sudden being a bum, right? That just doesn't happen overnight. But my problem is Shanahan, right? So it's like he's always shown to be an emotional coach, and he makes his decisions off emotions, and you see it with with the running back situations, or maybe you want to look at it as the hot hand or whatever, but it seems like he builds these small relationships with certain guys, and he fall in love with these guys, and I'm wondering if Brandon Ayuk is one of his guys. I seen the report earlier that he did mention that he's not in the doghouse or anything like that or whatever, but I don't see him really fight for Ayuk, and and Ayuk has had this history so far, being injury prone to start. So and that's one thing we all know coaches just frown upon a lot. Guys spending more time in the hot tub than on the field. And I'm just wondering if maybe that's not his guy. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say, he get phased out of the offense because he's just too talented of a guy. But maybe Shanahan is more comfortable keeping the ball more in Debo's hand and trusting, Garoppolo to just hand the ball off and George Kittle. And I don't know, maybe Ayuk is just going to end up being a product of, being in the wrong system or in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I think it's all smoke. I think it's just, I don't know. He did something. Him and Sermon maybe did something to piss him off. Who knows? Shanahan's notorious for that. We all have said something similar. I think he'll be starting, if not this next week, because maybe they are going to bring him slowly along with the hamstring because it's a long season. They proved they could win without him, but definitely by week 3, Ayuk will be back to not taking over, but getting enough touches, enough targets to become, fantasy relevant again. So I think this is all smoke, and
I do think he ends as wide receiver 2 value because his talent is just immense. You know what I mean? But I think those hopes of him becoming that superstar and possible wide receiver 1 fantasy numbers this year, I don't think it happens.
All right, Bank, can you give us our last one?
Yep. And I decided to go with Julio. And the main reason I decided to go with Julio, sorry there, Amber Alert. The main reason I decided to go with Julio is because I would love to hear other opinions on this because I'm torn myself. I'm not a lover of Ryan Tannehill. Never really been a lover of Ryan Tannehill. We do understand Ryan Tannehill can get the job done. But I've never been a lover of him. AJ Brown, 90% of his success comes from scoring touchdowns. He hasn't been a volume, reception guy or whatnot. Most of his points come from the touchdowns. I don't know if there's going to be enough volume to go around for Julio to even give wide receiver 2 numbers because Tennessee's defense is so bad and their offensive line is so bad. Chandler Jones exposed them ridiculously that I think they're going to be forced to probably overfeed Derrick Henry again, and we could be looking at possible wide receiver 3, 4-ish season from Julio, and he's going to pretty much be almost untouchable in fantasy in the offseason.
I think you missed your sell window on Julio. I have 0 shares of Julio. No, I take it back. I have 1 share because I took a shot on him in a startup. But I think I'm screwed. I think I'm going to be stuck with him.
Dang.
And I think I think the Titans offense, and I think they're going to doghouse years. They rode Henry as much as they could, and I think Henry's starting to break down. I've been saying that. Um,
I still don't see that though.
that's fine. I've been saying that. So now teams are able to stop him, and they're not having to overstack the box. And Tannehill, as you saw, not getting as much time with the offensive line. I don't see it going well for him. Um, I think it's sell, and if you can get something decent for him now, like you just take what you can get. I think it's going to go down even more, or you have to
And
hope he
and
gets traded.
and I want to jump in before you go, Shawnee. I want to say this too. The game script kind of got thrown out of the window as well when the Cardinals came out and just bombarded them, right? You know what I mean? So it's going to be still very interesting to see, how they look in these next couple of weeks, because that line, I don't think is getting better, and that defense is atrocious. But it's going to be interesting to see, you know what I mean, when they're not playing from behind from the very start, to see how they want to implement Julio back into the passing game. But I don't see the target share just being there, and I think I'm gonna be screwed with him.
Shawnee,
Okay, so for me, I think it's all an overreaction. Let's take it here. First of all, Julio, GOAT, you know, he had 6 targets. That's decent. But when you look at the whole situation, first of all, it's a whole new offensive coordinator. So it's a whole new offensive coordinator. Julio's changing teams, getting, Julio, he doesn't practice at this age. So you need them live reps. In that game, like we all said and seen, they just got blown out everywhere. Derrick Henry was trash. Tannehill was, even I'm not like Tannehill level, but he is a very efficient quarterback, and he's proven that he can at least get the job done. But he was trash in that game. Everybody basically sucked in that game. Even AJ Brown, he got saved by the touchdown. But if you take that away, which I can't do, I hate to do that. But I'm just saying, like you could see all around the board, it was just bad. Like unless the whole offense is just gonna fall apart after Arthur Smith moved to the Falcons, that's the only time I'll have to worry about it. But I think if they have to pass more, that's better for Julio because if Ryan Tannehill is what the numbers say, then he will be very productive. And it's just him and AJ Brown as pass catchers. Like I don't see no one stealing targets. I think the wide receiver 1 upside is gone, but he could be a high end wide receiver 2 if everything breaks well. That means more pass value, but we'll see if they go back to running the ball.
But I really feel like with Tannehill though, like his numbers have really been what they are because of he's been very efficient in a efficient offense, a very good offense, a run heavy offense that's very productive,
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah, for
But
sure.
it's like now, you know what I mean, he's going to have to make plays outside of the pocket and think, you know what I mean, he's not a spring chicken anymore. 25-year-old Ryan Tannehill can move. He's 33 years old now. You know what I mean? So with that line as bad as it is and him having to move around and make plays that he hasn't had to make in 5-6 years since he was in Miami, you know what I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if he can do that.
Yep.
So
I can't believe, how dare you, simply would put you in your place right now. How dare you badmouth Tannehill? He is a
Ty,
I ain't even
top
saying a
three
bad mouth. I
top
think
three
I'm just giving my honest
floor
take on it.
quarterback. Top three floor quarterback. Okay. All right. Anyways, all right. Our next segment, we're moving on from that. Was some hidden gems. Some players we thought maybe you could help. I'll go first again. Mine happens to be not Devin White, but James White. Uh, I say this because James White has never been an amazing, RB1. I'm not saying he's going to, but last year you couldn't sell him for anything, and rightfully so. With Cam back there, made no sense. But you can look just a couple years back. Like he was an RB1 4 years ago. He was an RB2 that year before. He's got Mac Jones back there now, a guy who doesn't like to run, who's going to check it down when there's somebody in his face. Who's that check down back in New England? James White. Um, you already see the work starting up again. 7 targets with 6 receptions. I mean that's solid points right there. In a PPR league, I mean, look right now he's right outside RB2 range, running back 25. I just see him helping a team win. And for that team who loses maybe a starting running back, you slide this guy in, and yes, it's not gonna be the same, but you're also not gonna be like just praying for a touchdown. He can give you a baseline floor, I think, that can help you in the playoff push slash sustain your team if you do suffer an injury. What do you think, Shawnee?
Yeah, so for me, James White, yeah, he's definitely solid, but like it depends on what your team is and how it's set up. Like if you got
This
a
is only for a
high,
contender team. Only if you're a contender team would I
yeah,
say take him on.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like so, if you're a contending team and you have one of them, like you have to have like one of them CMC, not the CMC. Let me stop just saying CMC. Like one of them top 6 to 7 backs to start with, like a Kamara, one of those guys, for him to be valuable. Because other than that, those 10 to 12 points really not going to do nothing. Because you know how it is in New England, you can't count on that every game. And I don't want to rely on it. In RB2, a low end RB2, it just it doesn't have that much impact for me on my team, for me to win it all. But like I said, if you have one of those guys and you just need a solid floor play, yes, I think he has value and he can help you out, filling in bye weeks. But I don't think this will push you over the top in any way.
All right, Bang.
Yeah, and I'm not really in on James White at all. I feel like even his role is diminished enough in New England to where I think that's Damian Harris backfield for sure.
Oh,
I
but
think
sure, he's the lead back. I'm not
no,
questioning
yeah,
that.
and I was going to say I think Stevenson is actually going to be the next beneficiary to get some value out of from that backfield. I can see James White, getting you, 40 catches or something on the season or whatever, just decent amount of yards. But I don't. If I'm a contender, I have no interest in trading for him. If he's on my roster, I guess I'm okay with him somewhere on my bench if I need a dart throw. But you know what I mean. If the playoffs come and I got to start James White there in a position, I'm not happy about it. So
Well,
I would be more on a J.D. McKissick than the James White.
I think J.D. McKissick is the new James White. I'll give you that. Like, yes,
Yeah.
that is the more favorable choice. But I'm
Well,
thinking
that sucks for Gibson.
it does suck for my Gibson share.
So I'm not mad about the Zeke trade yet.
But I was yes, I'm
Yeah,
thinking James White. You could probably get him for a third. I don't see McKissick
I,
going for as cheap as a third.
Yeah, but I
I,
wouldn't even pay a third for James White.
I feel like these players are just more valuable on your roster than off.
Okay. All right. Let's see your hidden gem. We'll go to Shawnee.
Okay, so for me, I know it's early. First of all, I had to say that. We only going into week 2, but the Konami code is just a straight cheat code in fantasy. And what I'm seeing from Daniel Jones, I just it's no arguing. Like the man has QB1 potential if this is how they're going to be using him, especially with Saquon being hurt. And Saquon was used a lot as a decoy, especially after that 40-yard run. That backside was open over and over and over again on that read option. I don't know why they went away from it. We seen him break 40-plus yard runs. We seen him do it last year before he got tripped up by a ghost, 90 yards. He has the speed. He's actually very accurate. he has all the tools, but we know if the line is doing bad, he won't. But he's making good decisions early on. I think the chemistry with Galladay will improve. We've seen him. There was a lot of big plays left on that field the other night. But besides that, Sterling Shepard's getting open. He's a super solid receiver. Evan Ingram is Evan Ingram. He gets hurt, but when he comes back, that's another weapon on the field. I could see, as the season go along, Saquon is going to get healthy. If you put all of that on the field and you still have his rushing ability, he's going to put up solid numbers. That could be, like I said, QB1 to top 15 numbers. And if they continue to let him run, we all know, like, if you can rush 40, 50, 60 yards a game, you'll QB1 off the back. Cam Newton, QB 16 last year. What he throw? 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Horrible. And he's still top 16 quarterback. And I think Daniel Jones is better than that.
Bank, I mean, he's on your team here, so and you guys
We're
are both
talking about.
you guys are both
we
Giants
talking about the
fans.
New York Football Giants here. All right. Well, I'm gonna start off saying this. We got to give you a little New York insight here. Ben Bredesen and Billy Price were backup offensive linemen on other teams, and they come into New York, and they are officially probably two of our top 3 to 4 offensive linemen. They are going to pay such huge dividends for Daniel Jones. I'm all in on Daniel Jones. Now, the biggest reason I'm all in on Daniel Jones is because I think he's going to finally get away from trying to use Evan Ingram as his security blanket and going to focus back in on Sterling Shepard as that security blanket. I think Sterling Shepard is also going to have a monster year, probably his best season he's had as a pro. I do think he's going to end up leading the Giants receiving core. And I think Daniel Jones is probably going to give you 600 yards rushing this year.
That is bold.
And if you're getting that from Daniel Jones, you're going to get some QB1 this year. So I think Daniel Jones will be QB1 this year.
Damn. Both of you are New York Giants fans. It's showing your homerism.
Factor in the Giants playing from behind.
Daniel Jones will be a QB2. I'll give you that. I do think he'll be
top 15.
He'll be a QB2. I don't think top 15. I think he's going to be near the latter end by all said and done.
You're going to be able to trust him every week in that line.
So listen, I'll stay like this. I'll say top 15, but like I said, if they continue to use him how he's being used, he could be top 12.
I already see the implosions on the sideline. Galladay chewing him out like he's a child. The wheels could be falling off any moment in New York. 0-2 start for the 3rd year in a row. It's just...
This is fantasy, though.
I understand it's fantasy, but it does have an impact on how they game plan and play. And that's when they start trying out younger players and all that kind of stuff, which is going to affect him if they start trying to play players or they trade players, because there was a lot more football trades last year because they moved back the trade deadline over the last couple of years. I don't know. I mean, it works right now. The Washington defense sucked. The Denver defense he played well against. I mean, that's a solid defense. He did fine there.
Is Washington defense supposed to suck?
It's not supposed to. No.
It sucked because Daniel Jones made him look like that.
Oh my goodness.
Did they suck week 1? Was that Minnesota?
No, they didn't.
They did kind of suck. They did suck week 1.
They gave up 16 points.
And the box total. Yeah, I know the total didn't represent what happened. They were not playing well.
Okay.
It's the only look. I don't have the NFL package, and I live in DC. It's the only game I watch.
No one for the Chargers went crazy in fantasy, right?
Keenan Allen had 10 catches and some points.
He had 20 targets.
Mike Williams.
He had a typical Keenan Allen day.
Mike Williams actually had a great game, so much that Shanny made sure to yell "trap" when I put him on the trade block. So I do remember this. I think your homerism is showing.
I don't know. I the numbers don't lie, but
I don't think he continues the running. I think that's what's going to do it. I think he'll be okay passing. He'll be solid. I think the running is not going to keep happening because I think eventually he gets popped. And either he's going to get hurt doing that or he's going to be like, oh, crap, this isn't for me anymore.
So, that's all good.
All right, Bank.
600 yards rushing.
Bank, who is your gym?
Wait.
Brave fuck.
He was so ready to talk about Daniel Jones.
Yes, I was. Anywho, my gym is Tyler Higbee.
Right.
I have some small shares of Higbee, not as many as I want. I knew once most of the leagues switched over to tight end premium, it was going to be impossible to really get them anyway, and especially once they got Matthew Stafford. I mean, that's really when I wanted to jump all in once they got Stafford. But I think Higbee's going to end in a top 5 this year.
You're crazy. You're
I think
crazy.
I think Waller ends 1, Kelsey 2. But I do think Higbee squeaks into that top 5, and I think Higbee is going to win some championships.
All right. I just want to do a little experiment with you. All right. Bank just for you. So Kelsey or Higbee?
Kelsey.
Okay.
All right. Kittle or Higbee?
Kittle.
All right. T.J. Hawkinson or Higbee?
Hawkins.
Okay, we're at 3 so far, so we're running out of room here.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Pitts or Higbee?
Higbee.
You think Higbee beats Kyle Pitts this year?
Yes, we're only talking about this year. Yes.
Yeah. This year.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I think Higbee outpaces Kyle Pitts. Yes, I think he outpaces Mark Andrews.
Oh,
I think he
man.
outpaces Dallas Goedert. I think Tyler Higbee will be probably the 5th. No, he'll be 5 or 6. I'm giving him 5. I'm saying top 5.
All right. Shawnee, go ahead. What do you got?
I mean, is he done with this whole speech?
I think he is. Go ahead.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not a hater towards Tyler Higbee. I could see the path to top 6. I won't say 5. I could see the path. But for me, I think he definitely is a hidden gem, especially because it's premium, tight end premium. We all know this. I got this year, Matthew Stafford was downplayed. I mean, well, he wasn't talked about enough. That could have been the gem of the year, to be honest. Like, I think the guy showed what he could do. He could put up monster numbers. People talking about he didn't do it in the wild. Of course not. He had to play with a good coach or a good team. But you see, you give him the weapons. That line is pretty decent. He's gonna ball out. And if you get into a shootout with the weapons that he has, it's okay. And we've seen what Tyler Higbee has done without Gerald Everett in the past. So this is the first full year that he has no competition. I'm not worried about Deshaun Jackson or Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell. Those guys are just decoys, gimmicks. So the offense basically is Kupp, Woods, Higbee. Cam Akers is gone. Darrell Henderson, I don't think they want to feature him totally, feature him much in the passing game. Sony Michel, we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about it. So 3 players, and then if Woods, maybe that's an overreaction. If he's gonna see that low of a volume, that's kind of concerning. And then, Higbee, he was getting open, so I could see the top 6 path.
I think Bank's been drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I think I'm not gonna say. I think he's a tight end 1. I think he's anywhere in that range of 7 to 12. I think anything else is you just with some wishful thinking because you got some shares.
Let me ask you this: Why do you think it's insane that he has a better season than Kyle Pitts this year? Because I can see the bottom falling out for Matt Ryan.
That's right. I agree. Right. So let's just say, I'll even go down that road with you. Matt Ryan gets benched for Franks, right? That's their backup in Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't think he gets benched,
but you get my point.
Yeah.
Tight end is the quarterback's new best friend. He's gonna pepper Pitts. I think Pitts got 8 targets already compared to Higbee 6. Yes, they didn't connect as much as they wanted to, but there are way too many other tight ends I see doing better than Higbee. I'm not saying it's a bad play, and I think Higbee can help you win.
I mean, but you have to look at this too. The Rams were playing ahead the whole game. The Falcons were playing behind and in a tough game, so they were passing more. I mean, if the Rams would have been in the game where they were playing in the fourth quarter, having a pass the ball.
Hold on.
Let's look this up. Stafford threw 26 attempts.
That's
Ryan
kind of
Well,
crazy.
threw 35. Okay, so we're talking 9 passes.
That's a
I
I
can
lot in
see Higby
football.
getting 2 more of those.
That's a lot in football. Yeah.
could
And
be.
like I said, mind you,
I'm
the
with
Rams
Wood
were
though
playing
with the
ahead the
Kyle
whole
Pitts.
second half.
Let me just say this: I'm with Wood on top. Like this is who I got. I think all the guys that were named initially, they all have value. So I'll take that. They're all like the number twos as far as the offense goes. Maybe even number one because of how Detroit has nobody. So that's what I give it. But I say top six because okay, you're gonna tell me uh Mark Andrews, we know Baltimore can run the ball all day long in certain games. The game script for Mark Andrews is going to be different. Mark Andrews is very efficient on the targets that he gets. So I can see where Tyler Higbee could be him. I can see the only other player besides Mark Andrews, maybe Fat because Judy injury, maybe Fat gets fed more, but that's the only one he's battling. So that's why I say top six is legit.
I will make just a friendly bet. I don't know if I'm putting money on this. I'll make a friendly bet with you, Bank, right now. Logan Thomas outscores Tyler Higbee this year.
No, that's a good one, but I'll take Higbee.
Yeah, we could do that.
All right, all right. I don't have any. I'm not gonna put cash on it right now, but all right.
Yeah,
So
we'll
so
talk
we
about
got
it
it. We
later.
got it recorded. We have it recorded.
Yeah.
Thomas over Higbee for me. All right. So let's go. Let's go look at some trades now. We have another big boy trade to break down with a reoccurring star, and he doesn't even have to talk on the show. Um, our good buddy Gooser. Well, how do you say his name? Gooser,
I say Gusset, but that's just
Gusser.
me.
All right. Let's.
Gushers.
I say Gusset because it looks like Gus Edwards.
I'm in the wrong league. Whoops. It was in Survivor.
Survival.
Yeah. So another big boy trade from him, and he now let's be clear on this team. Gusser took over the shittiest team, which somehow beat me this week too. By the way,
In fantasy history.
yeah, like
In
this team
fantasy.
was trash. Like at one point, I was calling it Tico's practice squad because Tico was making trades with this guy and he didn't know what he was doing. Um, but we see here his one big giant piece he had left was Tyreek Hill. Well, he certainly found a buyer for Tyreek Hill. He got Bosa, Dobbins, Cole Kmet, Elijah Moore, and 3 firsts next year for Chandler Jones, Tyreek Hill, Mike Williams, Naheem Hines, and a 2022 second. So, Bank, I'll go to you first. Your instant just gut. Well, not instant, but you've seen this trade. Who wins this trade if you had to like say a winner?
Man, a rebuilder couldn't ask for a better haul. Um, now,
I couldn't beat it.
I want to get this out of the way real quick. There's a lot of teams that should have went and got Tyreek Hill. Um, I didn't have the tools to go get him, but there's a lot of teams in here that are right there on the cusp, or right there from being just dominant that should have went and got Tyreek. I would just want to say that. But I mean, I love this trade for Gusser. I don't love the fact that all the picks are in 2022 because I'm not in love with this draft. But there are 3 or 4 guys that I really do love in this draft. So I mean, he sets himself up for a quick turnaround rebuild by doing it with that. We'll see with Elijah Moore. I still believe there's something there with him. I believe he can be a slot star in this league. Cole Kmet, I have no faith in at all. I do believe Dobbins is still going to be the
Cole
future
Kmet
RB
scores more
one for
points than
them.
Higbee.
Anywho,
Type
and I love Nick Bosa. I mean, of course, everybody loves Chandler Jones as well. But as a rebuilder, you know what I mean. You definitely take the younger guy and Bosa there. But I love the trade for him. And I love it for Cal as well. You know what I mean. Getting Naheem Hines in there, who can be end up being a very good flex play down the line. For some time, getting that second in there. You know what I mean? So I love it for him too as a team is going for it, but I love the value for Gusser.
Shawnee, who's your winner?
I mean, as far as the trade, Gusser is the winner, but don't get me wrong, Kyle got a league winner, so I can see it working for him in the near term. But Gus is definitely the winner. I will say what Bank said is true. I had the opportunity, but I feel like my players are so high value and I project them so well in the future. I didn't want to touch it, and I think the fantasy guy was on Gus's side because maybe I would have gave him player value, great, but you can't deny this trade. First of all, he essentially basically gets 4 to 5 first value out of this. You see the 3 first round picks, but like if J.K. Dobbins come back, no setbacks. We know what the Ravens are
Which
gonna
is no
do.
guarantee, you know what I mean?
I
But
said, yeah, there's no guarantee that no setback.
yeah,
But I'll take a tour in ACL. You know, it is what it is. He's still young, but like I said, he comes back, top 24 back, top 15 back. In the Ravens offense, J.K. Dobbins, he was a stud. He should be a stud coming back, and Elijah Moore, that's one of my guys. Okay, week one starts off bad. Everybody's a rookie. Justin Jefferson, hey, remember he was the wide receiver 3 supposedly last year, starting off. Then we see what happened. I'm not saying he's gonna be no Jefferson, but I think he's gonna be top 24 receiver for multiple seasons, different years. So I think that's great player. Bosa for Chandler Jones. Okay, Chandler Jones a rookie, last year. But when you look back at this trade, year maybe two, all that's going to be valued on Kyle's side is Tyreek Hill. Like Mike Williams, okay, who is Mike Williams? Like, okay, he had a decent game. He might even have a decent year. But you can like in the future, that's not a guy I'm counting on. Naheem Hines is Naheem Hines. He might be the new James White, it's valuable, but it's not winning you anything. I mean, he might come in clutch certain days, but that's not winning championships for you. That's
that
just
that
depth.
that's why I was saying like for him, win now. Those other pieces are great depth. Mike Williams and Naheem Hines are great depth for a win now team. The guys that have on your bench in case injury happens. You know what I mean? For a win now team, that's great depth for him.
Yeah, like I said, like I'm not hating on Kyle because maybe nobody else is, but like Tyreek, league winning ability. Like he
Yes.
might have to be on your team this year. So I give it to Kyle. I understand why he did it. I just wouldn't pay for it, but Gusser wins overall.
Um,
Yeah.
Gusser and I were talking at one point about Hines, and I made like a small, like a entry level bid at Hill, and he told me what he had on his plate. I was like, holy shit! I was like, you take. I didn't even know who the other person was. Um, I known it was Kyle. I would have told him fuck Kyle. But anyways, Gusser wants to trade by a mile. Can't hit on Kyle for getting Tyreek if he's trying to make that push. Um, but I really like what Gusser did. I think he set himself up, and he's doing what he should be doing to rebuild that team. Like that team actually has interesting pieces again, besides just having Tyreek. Like it has trade assets that it can use to spin even more deals. So good job for him.
Yeah. But the best thing for Kyle is he didn't give up anything that he was going to use to win this year,
Yeah,
and
I'll give you
he
that.
picked up Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I'll
So
give you that. All right, what's our other big deal? I forget what league. Was it House
Husband,
Husbands? Yeah.
oh, husbands, yeah.
And then we're going down to.
common
Oh,
theme.
I thought that was the goat trade you were talking about down
Yeah, no, not the go trade. Not your 2/3. So here we have Bankhead. So Bankhead, you get to talk last. We got Bankhead gaining Javion Brown, Russell Gage. I think it's Tyler Rapp, David Harris, Marquez Callaway, and a second rounder for just an injured Dobbins. Shawnee, where you at on this?
Okay, when I first seen it in the chat, my initial reaction was like, "What the hell is Bank doing?" But that's just a snap reaction to what you see. But actually looking at it, I think Bank did a hell of a job. Like I gotta be honest, graded how it should be. J.K. Dobbins is hurt right now. He does nothing for Bankhead. He's a back-to-back league champion. So another. He gets Damian Harris. I think with the volume that he got, And with Mac Jones at quarterback, he is top 24 running back. And then you have weeks where he's gonna be up. He could be RB1 like weeks, like not the RB1, but top 12 running back in that week. And then you get the IDP. Everybody doesn't value during the off season, but when you building out the back end of your roster, Taylor Rapp, he's taking over the John Johnson role. He played really well, and you have Marquez Callaway. I think people seen him flop, but Jameis only had to throw 20 times and went for 5 touchdowns. That game just didn't shoot out, so he's not gonna get the volume that he needed. But I think Mike Thomas gonna be out 6 to 7 more weeks. He's gonna have his time to come. And, that's just depth on his roster. And Jaron Brown, he's always been super solid. 18 to 20 points. And he has a future 24 second. You never know how that turns out, but picks are so random. You can find a gem. So the total deal, I have to give it to Bank. But I'm not mad at what Alex did because he basically controls all the young backs. Granted, they all hurt. That's why he got him at a discount, but I like it for Bankhead.
I don't like it for Alex, and I think for me, I'm seeing it now. The ghost of Jared's past. He gave away a decent chunk of depth here. Is Damian Harris a league winner? No, but he's a starter now, and I know he's a New England running back, but he got 100 yards. Marquez Callaway, you were just talking him up, playing pretty good ball, and Javon Brown has been a consistent top 12 linebacker. He gave up a lot of depth for a team that is in win now mode. Yes, he has great running backs. Maybe he's trying to hope he can do it. And maybe he'll hit on all his other draft picks that he's got coming. But I don't like it because we saw it play out last year, literally with Alex's team, where they just all got hurt. And I'm afraid it's going to happen again. Where he's starting off good, and then midway through he suffers an injury or two, and he's screwed. He's already having to start Mike Williams. And that's not the worst ever flex play, but that is not the flex play you have of a dominant team. And I don't know, I would have maybe tried for a player that helps you this year. That's where I'm at on it. So, I mean, Bankhead, I guess, got some depth. I think the Damian Harris you needed more so than anything because you got your older running backs, and I think you got a little scared. I think you got a little scared with that first week there where you're like, holy crap, what's going on? Why aren't they getting me points? So I think you went for more immediate play there. And getting Callaway and the other players there is like, the icing on top. So what do you think, Bank? Walk us through it.
Well, first of all, I want to say actually what scared me was Mostert going down after 2 plays. After already losing Dobbins and then losing Gus and then Mostert, is like, no, come on, like this can't be possible. So I'm not afraid at all of Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry turning their seasons around. I think they're both going to be, top 7 backs. But for me, I definitely felt like I won this trade. Like Shawnee mentioned, giving up a player that I was going to have no use for this year, coming off back-to-back seasons, to be able to get this kind of depth for a guy that I was going to have no use for. I got to take it, right? Like you mentioned, Jayon Brown, top 12, 15 linebacker every year. Rapp after winning the job, you know what I mean? Like, I love the way him and Fuller plays in that secondary. I love the way that whole secondary plays. I love that defense as a whole. I think he's just only going to get better and better. Callaway, I do feel like I had to find some kind of possible wide receiver to bring in because I told you how my take on Julio earlier. So he's my only other receiver on the bench right now that I can even trust to play. So I'm looking at it as a standpoint. If I get to the playoffs and say there's an injury with Devontae or Jefferson, you know what I mean? I got to have better options than just Julio at this point. You know what I mean? So I don't know what Julio may look like in week 15 or 14 or whatever. Russell Gage was just a throw in. probably a guy I end up cutting later if he don't do something with his life. And then just getting the second is always just me. I always want getting the first or a second, with the icing is always the icing on the cake for me. So yeah. And from Alex's standpoint, I guess you know what I mean. I it wouldn't be my strategy. I'm not a fan of stockpiling injured players because you just don't know what they're going to come back and look like. I don't trust organizations to just be loyal to them. You know what I mean? Like the Ravens will draft a running back in the first round next year. You know what I mean? So you just never know with those situations. So I don't love that strategy. But if he does turn out and comes back to be J.K. Dobbins, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, I would say for Alex, like I'm not mad at him because he does have Taylor Swift. Now he has J.K. Cam Akers. Maybe one of them, maybe both of them actually turn out to be good. I don't see why they can't be. So
Right.
I get
And
it.
it's not to say they
Gotta
can't. Yeah.
take a risk, but as of right now, yeah, I'll take that. Then the Harris side all day.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us this week. We'll try to get you guys. We'll try and get into that weekly routine. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time. So thank you, Shawnee.
All right.
Thank you, Bank.
What it do, baby?
And good luck this week to everybody's in the circuit.